I want to record a quick video in tribute to the real heroes of the novel coronavirus pandemic, small business owners who get arrested because they won't wear masks or won't abide by coronavirus restrictions and then set up GoFundMes and collect a lot of money. They're like the Anzacs or the Aussie farmers, the real battlers of the coronavirus pandemic. And honestly, I don't believe that any amount of GoFundMes will ever be enough to properly thank them for their brave and selfless sacrifice. Specifically, we're going to take a look at the latest one of these brave, heroic small business Anzacs, and that is the New Earth Cafe in Coolum Beach in Sunshine Coast up in Queensland. Now, they're a bit of a hippy-dippy, organic type cafe, which makes them a prime candidate to be one of these heroes. So let's go first of all through a video that they uploaded, and then we're going to go into the details of their GoFundMe, because of course you can't go through one of these little spectacles without having an associated GoFundMe, can you?
Hey beautiful people, friends, family, community. Firstly, I'd just like to say a big thank you to all of the New Earth Cafe staff for showing up at this time and doing such an amazing job. You've all been awesome and really supportive.
Hi friends, my name's Ben, this is my wife Sarah. We're the owners of New Earth Cafe.
Not mad at that little sweet angel for not having a mask on in public or private, and in fact that is, a criteria for exemption, I think, if you're a sweet angel.
Over the last 2 weeks we've had 5 police visits. Some have been more peaceful than others.
So yeah, we've got complaints in relation to the staff not wearing masks. I understand that you've all got exemptions here. You've got to advise your staff not to serve customers unless they're wearing a mask. All right?
Okay, so this is the thing. So you can have a medical exemption, but you cannot then serve customers in a retail environment. And that's not because of communism. That's because we are in a pandemic and there's a generally seen as being a need to limit the spread of this chest bug that's going around that they call the novel coronavirus. I don't know if you've heard of it. Some people are saying it's really just a vehicle for them, the media and the government, to control you with fear. But others are saying it's a virus, it's like a virus that's actually going around. I think that difference of understanding is crucial here.
How will I be able to run my business if none of them will wear a mask to serve customers?
Do you know anybody who can wear a mask and serve customers? Can this gentleman wear a mask and serve customers?
He doesn't work for me.
Remember that there's a third gentleman with them, and he's quite important.
So unfortunately then you can't serve customers if you can't get someone with a mask, all right? Unfortunately for you can't do it.
So you're saying I need to close? And I am of the belief that the Biosecurity Act does not give police power to compel me to wear a mask if I or all of my staff or any man or woman has a medical exemption. So
the third man behind them has gone around to the other side of them, and suddenly she has these papers in her hand. He's given them a piece of paper and she's now reading off soft-sit rhetoric.
I'm of the belief that by law you have to prove your claim. Is that not the law?
I haven't got written down, there must be. What section is that under? Under the Biosecurity Act, what section?
Under the Biosecurity Act, 60 and 61 of the Biosecurity Act. I have not received a biosecurity court order and I'm not in receipt of a biosecurity court order.
There's this persistent and ongoing idea, as peddled by the soft-sit people and the common law types and what have you, that because the Federal Biosecurity Act only has a very limited range of circumstances under which public health orders can be policed, that therefore states and state police forces have no right to then go and enforce state-based public health orders, such as saying that here's a hot spot, you have to wear a mask in this area. The federal government have deferred a lot of their powers. This is how federalism works. The federal government, defer some of their powers in certain circumstances off to the states.
This is restriction number 11, all right, under the Queensland Health Act, all right, and it goes through there.
Okay, so we're not talking about federal laws, no, they're talking about the Queensland Health Act. Like I said before, the deferral of powers to police certain public health orders and the like and regulations off to the state, so not a federal thing.
You have free access to that, so if you go onto the Queensland Health site, you'll be able to see that restriction.
I do not believe that that is the law.
This is what you'll find with subset types again and again. What they're peddling is a series of legal denialist ideas. Unfortunately, the law doesn't pay too close attention to them, and they tend to have a universally bad run when they take these garbage ideas to the courts, or even when they take them to police officers. Because if these ideas were true, then these police officers would probably run away. But as you're going to see, they don't do that.
Can you give me and show me evidence that my staff won't have panic attacks, heart attacks, breathing problems, or would you like me to close my business down? Are you saying that I need to lose business for the next 10 days? I know that my staff have medical exemptions, and I as an employer do not have the right to force them to wear a medical exemption.
I acknowledge that masks are anxiety-inducing things when you're not used to breathing through them, and I certainly have had a really tough time of it. Then it's a little bit hard to get used to. And one thing I find that works is just having a go and doing it for a while.
I'm a good person and I don't normally have to speak to police officers, so...
Not like those bad people in Western Sydney.
Accept the paperwork.
If you do not accept that, you will be arrested. You're under arrest.
I don't believe that I have done anything wrong. I don't believe that I broke any laws. I'm quite sad.
She doesn't believe and she's sad.
I have a medical exemption. My staff have medical exemptions.
The reason that her and all of her staff have medical exemptions is because they're coronavirus denialists. We know that the anti-lockdown movement have been encouraging all of their members to get exemptions for mask wearing because they think that masks are in fact totalitarian control mechanisms designed to make you lose your individualism and become part of a herd and more pliable to control by the New World Order and so on. That doesn't mean that you aren't going to spread a virus to other people. So whilst you can be medically exempted on your own, you can't then go and, sell turmeric lattes to 200 hippies and give them coronavirus in the process. Sorry.
I really respect people and the police.
Well, I don't. And I suppose I should say there that I don't agree with policing the pandemic. Here we've got one cafe where someone has been visited 3 times and warned by their own admission as well as by the coppers before they were given, before she was arrested and taken away. And versus what happens in Western Sydney right now.
Please, attention please, this is the police helicopter. A reminder.
But the way that this hippy-dippy turmeric latte cafe has been policed is, and I say this as someone who's a bit abolitionist when it comes to the coppers, is good. That's the way I'd like it if they were doing with everyone, including people in Western Sydney. Go to give people warnings, explain the law to people, put up with their bullshit. Wait, warn, explain the consequences, before taking someone away because they clearly won't adhere to those regulations. I'd like to see that approach taken all the time. Unfortunately, I think it's only the middle class hippy-dippy turmeric latte types who get that kind of treatment. So the Queensland Police statement is helpful because it provides a bit of a timeline, a bit more specific one than they've provided. Police have taken action against a Coolum Beach business for failing to comply with COVID-19 directions after refusing to wear a mask and failing to provide details to police. At 2 p.m. today, and this was on the Friday, the 30th of July, the 38-year-old Ninderry woman was arrested and taken into custody after she allegedly failed to provide information requested by officers. It is also alleged the woman and her employees were requested to wear a face mask multiple times by police. Officers allege they attended the Burtwell Street Cafe yesterday and requested the woman to wear a mask and returned 3 times today with the same request. So what we've got is them attending throughout July the 29th before returning on Friday, July the 30th to arrest them. Okay? Now, of course, as I said, for each one of these modern day Anzacs, we get a GoFundMe. And I found a pretty modest one, which was raised 6 days before today. So that was the Friday or the Saturday. And it says, local business threatened with jail by Queensland Health. And it says that only $500 was raised of a $3,000 goal. And I thought, well, okay, this is what they all do. This is their right, apparently. You create the spectacle, create a GoFundMe, and you get heaps of money before GoFundMe come along and shut it down. And indeed, it turns out that they actually did have this one shut down. From skimming down in the text, I noticed that. It said, GoFundMe have unfrozen the account, which we are grateful for. However, we will be choosing another way to raise money moving forward. We also notice a bit more of that sovereign citizen stuff I was talking about as well. After doing some research into true law, the woman known as Sarah, by all rights reserved, don't worry about it, it's just sovereign citizen bullshit, decided she would accept and put into place all directives provided that Queensland Health could provide proof of authority, that they actually have the authority to compel her to do so. There's often these little strange little terms and conditions inside GoFundMes. All donations will be used to grow knowledge of true law within the people in the community surrounding a New Earth cafe, and to gain the skills required to successfully communicate with Queensland Health or other entities who choose to engage, with the intention of bringing freedom back to men and women travelling and doing business on the terra firma known as Australasia. I was informed by a legend on Instagram, thank you out there, that this was not the first iteration of the GoFundMe, and that actually it had been created earlier. Here's the original GoFundMe. So that one actually raised $2,096 of the $3,000, and it was created by, just as the second iteration was, by Ricky Sundara. And the really interesting thing that they showed me was that the timestamp on that GoFundMe shows that it was made on the evening of the 28th of July. It's definitely before the time in which they got arrested. They jumped at the chance as soon as the New Earth Cafe was being warned that they need to wear masks, to create a GoFundMe, which, remember, as we said, is not for legal troubles, because at the time they created it, they weren't having any legal troubles or fines. They were merely being warned. It was simply so that they could grow knowledge of true law within the people and gain the skills required to successfully communicate with Queensland Health. And if any of you are suffering from what you think is deja vu, listening to me talk about a anti-lockdown related GoFundMe with a timestamp that is well in advance of the event that they're asking for money for, if any of you are feeling that deja vu and are wondering, oh, maybe I need to lie down, maybe my mind's playing tricks on me. No, your mind certainly isn't. These cunts are all the fucking same. Going back to Ricky Sundara, he was the third person standing there with them. Here's Ricky Sundara. He's a direct marketer at LifeVantage. And what is LifeVantage? LifeVantage is, of course, a dietary supplement multi-level marketing scheme. The GoFundMe also references that if you want to know more about true law, then you should hit up Zev Freeman. Here's a 2020 picture of him in a conference with Matt Lawson, Pete Evans, Serene Tavahan, basically the leading lights of the anti-lockdown movement since 2020. These hippy-dippy turmeric latte people are being manipulated into a kind of a bunk idea of sovereign citizen interpretations of law, and into a GoFundMe that profits, presumably just them, you would think, given the text of the GoFundMe, by seasoned, dyed-in-the-wool, sovereign citizen style grifters. And that, my friends, I think we'll all agree, is not the biggest shock in the fucking world, is it? But I think it's always important to point out the financial imperative behind these things, and that people running hippy-dippy turmeric cafes are often extremely susceptible to the grift and the lies foisted upon them by seasoned snake oil salesmen such as the old crew of first generation anti-lockdown grifters. That's clearly what's happened here, and I think that these people should be treated as the dupes that they are. Because certainly the advice that they received from grifters like Ricky Sandara and Zev Freeman hasn't exactly helped them with the police, has it? But anyway, I don't want to go too hard on them all, because they are, after all, the true, real heroes of the pandemic. Coronavirus Anzacs, if you will. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for your support. And thank you to this dog, who I, genuinely found to be an excellent dog